Hello. Hello, everyone. I'm going to review and analyze this video by Jonathan Adampants. It was re-uploaded to YouTube by, I don't know who this is, but Rewild the Temple channel a year ago. A lot of these videos are from, I would say, 14, 15 plus years ago on YouTube in the earlier YouTube days. And a lot of channels tried to preserve this Jonathan Adampants work. And they built him up into kind of a legend in a way, put him on a pedestal just because he was able to speak fairly clearly and say things that sounded intelligent to the average person. And there are people trying to track him down for years, even before my channel was around, years and years before my channel. A lot of people over the years, well, I won't say a lot, but a number of people is more accurate, have asked me, have you ever heard of Jonathan Adampants? Have you ever seen his videos? That has come up time and time again. And often that's a red flag for me that I'm talking with a zombie. It just is. Because somehow they see a connection between me and this guy. And we're diametrically opposed. We're polar opposites. This guy believes in a good creator, a good God, Holy Spirit. A lot of, it's almost like an early Christian Gnostic type of viewpoint that he has, which is really not that uncommon. It's not that unique. But somehow, if you're able to speak clearly on YouTube, it impresses people. And they get nostalgic and they'll hang on to this. And this is a pattern I've noticed on YouTube. Not just with this Jonathan Adampants guy, but with Chiron the Lost and other YouTubers that had channels years before mine that said a lot of things that if you examine logically, it doesn't add up. It doesn't match reality. It doesn't match the realm we're in. But I've learned through watching YouTube and people's reactions and who people follow and believe in and have a cult following that a lot of people are unable, they're incapable of looking at what's being said and then looking at reality and saying, does this fit? Doesn't this match up? There used to be, I'm not sure if they still have these, but these little games for toddlers, for babies and toddlers, the youngest of toddlers and just babies, where you fit the triangle into the triangle shaped hole and the circle into the circle, the square into the square. And it has to fit or it won't go in. You have to see what fits. A lot of adults can't do that. Not with physical blocks and shapes, but with ideas and views and gods and lords and the afterlife and certain concepts and certain things happening here. If this was a good realm created by a good God or a good spirit, it wouldn't be this way. Because this place is not good. It's overwhelmingly about suffering, pain, grief, loss, devastation, so-called natural disasters, diseases, evil, and ruled by evil. So it couldn't have come from good. It couldn't be watched over and cared for by good or by a good Holy Spirit. And delusional people don't see all of what I mentioned. They focus just on what they want to see. And they are cult followers. And this guy created cult followers. I don't know if that was his intention or not, but it turned out that way. I can't read his mind. I've never had a conversation. I don't think anyone has seen the face of Jonathan Adampants on YouTube. And he vanished. So whether he did that on purpose, whether he took himself out, whether he just chose never to upload to YouTube again and fade out, I don't know. But the mystery of it gets to people too. This is very human. Humans love that. They love a mystery. Somebody disappears, they'll make them into a legend. Similar to rock stars dying at age 27. Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix, Jim Morrison, Kurt Cobain, etc. The list goes on. Similar to that. Now, I don't know if this guy's dead or alive, but he did vanish, and that helps create a legend. And people love that. The one thing humans, people, as Ian would say, don't love is the truth. Now, if you start thinking about that and spend years, not minutes, years, examining reality, you'll see that what I said is the truth. Most people don't love or want truth. They want stories. They want myths. They want legends. They want lore. They want drama. They want soap operas. They want fiction. They want Hollywood. They want movies. They want anything other than the truth. They want feel-good New Age shit. They want anything other than the truth to look at. Truth is at the bottom of their list. If it was a checklist, they'll go through everything else before they'll get to, I guess maybe I'll look at the fucking truth. I don't want to do that, though. So they are not like you if you are a truth seeker and you're shaking your head or saying, how can they? Well, they're not like you. We're not all the same. Just because you want the truth doesn't mean everyone else here does. And all you have to do is examine their behavior, which, again, most people won't do in this realm. Most won't look at the behavior of others and say, are they truth seekers? Are they open to the truth? Are they craving the truth? Are they seeking it? Are they desirous of truth? Are they open to it? Do they want to hear it when I share things with them? Observe their behavior. Most people prefer fiction, stories, myths, legends, lore, urban myths. Anything other than the truth. Anything. They'd rather sit watching soap operas all day, or wrestling, or comic book superheroes, or Marvel superhero movies. Iron Man and Wolverine. I don't know if he's Marvel. I don't know which ones are which. I was never into comics and all that sort of stuff. But that is what people want for life, not just as children. They don't just want fairy tales as children. They want that as 30, 40, 50, 60-year-olds, 80-year-olds. They want Harry Potter. They don't want truth. And they avoid looking at the truth for life. And then they build up icons and idols, false idols and legends. Now let's take a look at this. And I'm not trying to poison the well. I'm just trying to say I've never seen Jonathan Adampants' face, just his voice. Most likely a fake name. Obviously the Adampants is an alias or nickname. Maybe his name isn't Jonathan at all. Maybe that's fake. So all you have is a voice from about 14 or 15 years ago, something like that. It might even be longer than that. That has stuck around on YouTube and been promoted by various channels. I don't know if his original channel's even around, but they preserved his content. Again, I don't know if he's alive or dead. But somehow, people are still talking about this guy all those years later. And they'll even ask me if I've ever heard of him or watched his stuff, as though it's something that is anything close to what I'm doing. And that's also the mental delusion. Some people have thought that I was him, asked if I was him, and thought I sound like him, which I don't. That's the mental delusion of a lot of truthers. And I don't trust most people that call themselves truthers because I see how easily deceived they are. I see that there's normies with better discernment in the real world than truthers on YouTube. If that gets you down, if it stings your ego, good. Because you should take a look in the mirror, a lot of you, and say to yourselves, why does everyone sound the same to me on YouTube? Why can't I discern voices? Why can't I discern anything? Everybody seems to look the same. There's a lot of mental cases on YouTube. And I don't want to be around you for eternity. I think you have work to do in this realm before you should ever be released. If that sounds bad or harsh, too bad, because I don't want to deal with you for eternity. Your kind that compares me to everyone that I'm not. And you can't see the difference. That's mental.
To change. And one thing I sense from the creative spirit is confidence. I mean, it's confident. It's not here to judge anything. It's here to fix it. If you get an injury in your body, you allocate more of your spiritual essence to that injury in that moment. Now, to those cells, it could seem like a real long time. Different scalar time reality. And you're thinking, well, how could God let this happen? Well, understand something. Imagine being the creative spirit. It's just you, right? You're all alone and you know it. Let's pretend there's a starting point. You know you're all there is. You're the largest of the large. You're not sitting there thinking you're going to meet somebody else. If you are, then you're not what I'm talking about. We'll have to go.
All right off the bat, let's see you get leukemia and heal your body just with your spiritual healing and thoughts. It doesn't work in this realm. So he's wrong right off the bat. Then he's portraying God as this creative spirit that's larger than us. So again, making us feel small, insignificant, powerless, the same as mainstream Christianity religion. But they've thought this guy was so different. We're 49 seconds into this. And right off the bat, I'm finding huge flaws with what he's saying. Doesn't match reality. And it's disempowering, not empowering. But mental cases and cult followers hear this and think, he's empowering us. No, he isn't. He's saying your God is this creative spirit that's huge, that's large, which of course would mean you're just tiny and small and insignificant in comparison. Because it's large and huge compared to what? Well, compared to you, it doesn't even need to be said. Do you understand? And it's the same kind of message as mainstream Freemasonic science, that you're in an enormous, growing, expanding universe, and you're just a tiny, Earth is just a tiny speck amongst billions of galaxies, and you're not even a speck, you're nothing, according to mainstream science. Disempowering, makes you feel small and insignificant, meaningless, same as Christianity and other religions. You're just tiny, is their message. That's not my message. That's not my message. Right off the bat, you should be able to notice differences. But I know many in this realm, I'd say most, can't do it. Which is why I know that most in this realm are just incapable. And I'm wasting my time and energy on most beings. They can't do what I've suggested for years. Compare, contrast, see differences, notice, pay attention, be aware, be observant. These are simple things. These aren't things that you need to figure out mathematical equations that fill up a blackboard. These are very simple things to put into practice. And most people are unwilling to do it. Because you see sameness where sameness doesn't exist, and then where sameness does exist, like look-alike acres, subdivisions of houses in Canada and the United States, for miles that all look the same. People just take it for granted. Well, what do you mean, Stephen? What's wrong with that? Everything's beginning to look the same in the outside world. And then you'll look at me and my voice and my teachings and say it's the same or almost the same as someone else. You're wrong. And I can't help you. I can't help you. I can't help all of you. Most humans seem to be so foobar that it's beyond what I can do for you. And you do nothing, for the most part, most of you do absolutely nothing to correct that and to say, I'm going to start looking at differences and noticing and observing and paying attention and being aware and using my mind, my critical mind, my critical thinking. Most of you never do that. You go through life into your graves, and I've seen people do this. You don't want help. You want someone to do the work for you and free you from here. That's what you want. You want saviors. You want to be lazy, most humans. You want others to do the work and save you.
Go up on the scale. I'm talking about the creative spirit. I'm talking about, we'll have to go up a point. You know you're all there is. You're the largest of the large. You're not sitting there thinking you're going to meet somebody else. If you are, then you're not what I'm talking about. We'll have to go. There's a starting point. You know you're all there is. You're the largest of the large. You're not sitting there thinking you're going to meet somebody else. If you are, then you're not what I'm talking about. We'll have to go up on the scale. I'm talking about the creative spirit, right? And you have all this love, and that's your catalyst for creation. The fact that you're alone and you have love. Makes sense, right? If you're all alone, you want companionship.
No, it doesn't make sense. You're just making up shit with no basis. Where's your evidence that some creative spirit was all alone, full of love? Where did it get the love from? Why did it exist? What created it? It existed and nothing else existed? How does that make sense? It doesn't. What this guy's saying doesn't add up, but he'll use NLP and saying makes sense, right? And his voice, his tone of voice, his cadence, all of it comes across as NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. It's okay if you don't understand. I don't expect understanding at all anymore in this realm. People have shown me time and time again, they can't listen to 10, 15 minutes and focus on what's said and learn something. Now, I can listen to videos for hours and pay attention, no matter what level they're at. And I notice that is rare to almost non-existent in this realm. People can't seem to do that. Why would one being exist? There's not one of anything here. There's male and female. It takes two almost always to create life. So there's one exception, that nothing existed except this one creative spirit, aka God, whatever you want to call it. That doesn't make sense. Quite the opposite. That makes no sense. And out of love, why did it have love? For what? Before it created anything, what did it have love for? Nothing else existed except itself, in his view. So no, what he's saying doesn't add up. I'm going to deconstruct this shit once and for all, because I've seen people hype this up for 15 fucking years on YouTube. What this Jonathan guy is saying doesn't make sense. It makes about as much sense as the Big Bang Theory, which some of you, it took tremendous effort and decades for some of you to begin to see through that. You should feel embarrassed. It's healthy. You should say, why did I believe that shit? I'm not saying to remain ashamed into your grave. I'm not saying that at all. But you should feel some embarrassment at times for this stupid shit. It's healthy to be humbled and say, why did I buy that? Why did I believe that bullshit? I think that's healthy. Now, some of you that will be watching this should say, why did I believe this Jonathan guy and what he was spewing? Start using a critical mind, critical thinking. Do you know what makes more sense? This is going to hit some people like a fucking cement, a Mack truck or a concrete truck. Eternity. Now, what's the infinity symbol? Think of that being eternity. No starting point, no ending point. Without beginning, without end, always was. Nothing popped up and created this out of nothing. Nothing popped up and lived with nothing else. There's no starting point for creation or for life or for me, my spirit. And there's no ending point. I won't die. This body will. But I'm not just a body. I'm in a body. I'm in a body. I'm in a physical body temporarily in a meat suit. I think that makes more sense than what he's saying. Do I think that most on earth would understand what I just said? No, I think most would follow what he is saying because they want to worship, they want to get down on their knees and worship a God, or they want to believe that something higher and more powerful and bigger than they are exists and made them, fashioned them out of dirt or clay and breathed life into them and this and that. You want stories. Humanity. Humanity wants stories. You don't want truth. You want myths and legends and lore and stories and saviors and idols. You're very primitive. And you want to disempower yourself and follow. How do I know that? I observe the realm, and that's what you do by the billions. Good job.
And if you're going to create, and this obviously is more than dissociation, this is divine creation we're talking about. And if you're going to do that, you're not going to make puppets that you control their every move. Why? Well, because you're doing it because you want life around you, companionship around you. You need it to be genuine. You're not going to get company or companionship by putting on a puppet show for yourself. Especially if you know you're doing it, you know? So you have to have free will, or a mind. And you can create beings that can go from one body to another body, to one world to another world, and have layers like that, sure. And you enjoy it because it's interesting to see how they perceive your creations, what they do with it, how they express it, and that's part of the enjoyment. And so you have to have free will for that, for your own needs, and it just works out that way. And it's all intertwined anyway in the scale of reality. But with free will, hey, you can ride your bike and fall off and skin your knee and bang it up.
He thinks he's describing free will. He's just describing simple choices. With free will, we could come and go from this realm as we please, and it be painlessly and without risk of ending up in a coma or as a vegetable in the hospital, a failed suicide attempt, we'll say. Do we have some choices here? Yes. Do we have free will? 100% free will? No. No, we don't. No. Could a being in this realm take my life and I don't want that to happen? Yes. Where's my free will in that situation? There's a lot here that we're forced to do. There's a lot that being in these bodies forces us to do, as you know. We have no choice. Eat, sleep, drink, shower, clean, use the bathroom. Just a few examples, but it's on and on. So these people that have preached free will for years and years and years don't even examine human bodies, the realm, free will. They talk about free will without even understanding it. So we're 2 minutes in, and already I'm destroying what this guy's saying. Now, if you're an unbiased being, you would nod your head and agree. If you're someone who hates me because you were banned from my channel or because whatever reason, because you're a loser, a cockroach, then you'll disagree. Again, a lot of you don't care about the truth. You run by emotions, by bias, things like that. You're not real truth seekers. You can be swayed by emotions, by bias, all these sorts of things. You're not real truth seekers, most of you in this realm. Most humans have proven that to me.
With free will, hey, you can ride your bike and fall off. Reality. But with free will, hey, you can ride your bike and fall off and skin your knee and bang it up. And the skin cells could be like, how could God let this happen, you awful God? You could lie in the sun too long and damage some cells and traumatize them, and then the consciousness in that cell disconnects from you and puts a bubble around itself out of fear and pain, and then tries to survive and perhaps becomes cancerous, which can be healed with love, by the way. You can stub your toe, the bone cells in your toe.
Oh, that can be healed with love, really. Really. With love. Is he going to start singing the Beatles song? All you need is love, love. Love is all you need. Love is all you need. All you need is love. All you need is love, love. Love is all you need. And this works on people. It plays to their emotions. And they love it. They love it. If you do a search for Jonathan Adampants, you'll see how much there is sticking around. People love it. They get addicted. They love to follow. People hate to think and they love to follow.
And perhaps becomes cancerous, which can be healed with love, by the way. And perhaps becomes cancerous, which can be healed with love, by the way. You can stub your toe. The bone cells in your toe could be like, oh, it must be a bad God. How could this happen? Well, that's part of free will. It just is. It's just part of free will. And listen, if you had to choose and do it all over again to avoid the pains that may happen here and there, would you substitute that for a puppet show for yourself? Be honest.
False dichotomy, giving you only two choices. Either free will, quote unquote free will as he calls it, which is he's associating free will with pain and suffering, or being a puppet to a god. I would say there's other choices. Why are you just presenting two choices? A or B. Suffer or be a puppet. I don't like those choices. I'm not going to play your game and choose A or B. What about not being in here to begin with and not being a puppet? How about that?
With yourself. If you were all alone, wouldn't you want to take of yourself and make something real? Or would you just sit there and make a puppet show for yourself? You would only make a puppet show if you're in horrible fear. If you're feeling attacked, maybe you don't recognize the larger part of yourself anymore, like cancer. You call it Satan. Well, its creations are puppets, because to it can't afford to give free will. It's trying to defend itself against love. That's not going to carry on. Satan in this world plays God and the devil, if you haven't figured that out yet.
Satan was created, according to your belief, created by love, created by your God, which you say is love. So how is it something other than love? Your whole thing falls apart. It's illogical. And again, all he's doing is putting his own personal spin on Christianity. That's all he's done. And people almost worship this guy, Jonathan Adampants. There are people that still do, that wish they could figure out who he is, where he is, if he has a YouTube channel. They've been searching for him for years. As though he's some guru on a fucking mountaintop. It's remarkable what people will do in this realm. Because most of you people are followers. You're not thinkers. And you demonstrate that and you prove it every day in this realm. On YouTube and out there in the so-called real world. Every day you prove it. You're not thinkers. You're looking, most of you on earth are looking for someone like this Jonathan Adampants, to latch onto, to make as your cult leader or guru and follow. That seems to be what humans love to do. That's like your default setting.
That's why it runs the Christianity system and it runs Satanism. It's both. Satan in this world plays God and the devil. If you haven't figured that out yet, that's not going to carry on. Satan in this world plays God and the devil. If you haven't figured that out yet, that's why it runs the Christianity system and it runs Satanism. It's both. Demons play both. That's what they do because it mimics this whole thing, like I've talked about in The Healing Begins Now. So the part of Satan that will be receptive to the love will be the part of you that receives the love as well. The good part, right? Now the good is not the same thing as the creative, calm spirit that is tremendously entertained and not bored, and totally appreciative and excited and aware. Satan still has the memory of what it was like. When we were connected to creation, I didn't do this, and I didn't do this, and I didn't do this. Maybe that knowledge could allow it to create a prison system like this. And so you've become like a tennis ball in a tennis match. And they're hitting you back and forth between good and bad, black and white, right and wrong, sane, insane, the whole thing. Love is not this elated feeling. It's not fluffy-duffy. It's when you truly connect to it, it's very calm and very powerful. But you can have various emotional responses to it, which is your conscious individual experience of it, which is your free will, which is the excitement of being a creation. But that's your experience of it. That's not what love is. That's your experience of it. Life is a pretty cool thing, man. Now, some people think we're in a system of universal darkness, and this is all false creation. But that doesn't change anything. See, the sword...
All right, so he says life is a pretty cool thing. Who's to say this is life? How do you know? What do you measure it against? How do you know this isn't death or more like death, more akin to death? This matrix system, this sewer matrix system we're in. He's saying very cliche things like, life is pretty cool and all this stuff. How's that different from the mainstream view? A lot of people hype this guy up as different. What's so different about him? He seems to be aligned with much of mainstream Christianity. Where are the major differences? What's unique and special about Jonathan Adampants' view of this reality? And God and humans and free will, it seems to match up with ordinary Christians, mainstream normies. Or it's very close.
Sword of truth slices all false creation. But that doesn't change anything. See, this is all false creation. But universal darkness. And this is in a system of universal darkness. Now some people think we're in a system of universal darkness. Thing, man. Now some people think we're in a system of universal darkness. And this is all false creation. But that doesn't change anything. See, the sword of truth slices through all of that. The solution is still the same. Don't love a person's body. If that's a creation of darkness, don't love it, but love the spirit inside of it. Love the spirit that animates everything. Be in appreciation of it. And so, you need to learn this new language. How do you do it? Do you have to sit there and meditate? Nope. Become mindful of your thoughts. Why go out into nature? There's so much life out there. Remember that football game analogy? You put out 3 receivers on a play and then there's 3 pass defenders on a play. You go out into life, into nature, and now it's like sending out 300 receivers and having only 10 defenders or something. They can try to intercept the larger scalar mind communicating with itself, but if they defend it here or there, it'll pop up somewhere else. Because animals have not been put through all of these things. Even the predators are even more connected than you are. Even they are, especially in this time. This is why it's very important to get out into nature.
Go out into nature. I could take you places that you just wouldn't survive out in nature at all in Canada, especially in the winter time. So what are you talking about? Are you talking about being comfy out in nature? Going somewhere safe? Cherry picking? Saying, I'm out in nature, I went to a city park. Or I'm out in nature, I went here, I went here. What about the wilderness? What about right out in the wilderness, in the wild, that hasn't been tamed by mankind and made safe? You wouldn't survive. Would you love nature so much if you were being eaten by a polar bear? Then would you love it? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think in those moments your view would change. You'd be in horrible, excruciating agony, and your view would change of nature. You might even be regretting your decision as that's happening and be in terror and fear. That's nature. Polar bears will chase down and hunt a person. They'll try to chase you if you're on a snowmobile. They'll try to run after you. You want to cherry pick nature and say, oh, isn't it beautiful? I'm at this safe place looking at a lake with trees and the birds are chirping. But you don't want to be eaten in nature. That's part of nature, though. It's part that you don't want to face. You want to pretend that really doesn't exist. You want to cherry pick. That's what Christians do. And that's what people do. They cherry pick. They pick out the good stuff and they ignore the evil. And they ignore the pain, the suffering, the terror. I'm not calling predators in nature evil. I have to say that because I know how human minds work. You'll jump to that conclusion and put words in my mouth that I didn't say. I've never called animals evil, but some of my channel will ask me that. Do you think predators are evil, Stephen? They just go right to that. I can't help most of you because you can't pay attention enough to even understand what I'm saying to agree or disagree. You get it all confused in your heads. Most of you do. You'll hear words said that I didn't say, all sorts of things. So communication becomes almost impossible with most people because they don't have an attention span. They can't focus.
Very important. Because that's out into nature. This is why it's very important to get out into nature. This is why it's very important to get out into nature. Very important. Because that's where the creative spirit is. It's everywhere, of course, but that's where you're going to get the clearest signal. And remember, Earth has an infection right now. So much like your macrophage and much like your body's consciousness assessing a virus, okay, and your immune system, the whole thing, like I talked about before, you're thinking, why are you talking about the immune system and the body? Come on, man. Expand your consciousness. It's all related. See the pattern. Recognize the pattern. Did you hear that train right there? Yeah. That was a natural anchor to what I just said to you. There's a man that pulled that train whistle right now. And the larger mind told his conscious mind that was time for him to pull. There you go, just happened again. Now, remember, it's like playing guitar. At first, you're not going to play the chord very well. You're going to screw it up. But you're going to have to go through, if you need to, what I did. What is that? Proving it to yourself. You see, there's that train. The train's been communicating with me for a year and a half. The train itself hasn't. It's real simple. I'll say, do it twice and a half. The train itself hasn't. The train. There's that train. The train's been communicating with me for a year and a half. The train itself hasn't. It's real simple. I'll say, do it twice. Do it once. Do it twice. Do it once. I'll monitor my thoughts. Be very mindful of my thoughts. And pay attention. See when it is silent and when it's not. Now listen, it's not going to answer basic things. If I'm thinking, should I have this type of cereal or should I have that type of cereal? It's not going to sit there and respond to that. But the most crucial things is what life will respond to. You have your conscious mind for your daily activities, for your little experiences consciously. But for the things that are important to Earth right now and to the spirit, it will respond to that because it's very important right now. So at first, you'll say, John's losing it. He doesn't know what's going on. But any spiritual elder on this planet would have told you, and I'm sure you've heard things like this before, quotes like, there's never nothing to hear and never nothing to see. Yeah, because on one level, everything.
Spiritual elder. What does that mean? That they've been here many lifetimes? That just means they've been tricked and recycled and degraded many lifetimes. I don't think the train is speaking to you, Jonathan. I think the conductor of the train is by law required to pull the whistle, hit the horn, going through certain stops before they approach. And it's training and it's habit. It's not the spirit doing that. He's someone that will use anything that comes up, similar to a Joshua S. John. If there's something graffiti written, they'll make it into this big thing. And they want to feel special. They want to feel like the universe is speaking to them, or the spirit, the great spirit, the creative spirit, God, universe, source, whatever. Call it whatever. This is what they want. Makes them feel good. Makes them feel special. The train is speaking to him, he said. You're so aware, Jonathan, that you can't see how this realm is designed to be. It's designed to be evil. So how do you reconcile that with your good spirit, your good God? You can't. Because evil wouldn't come out of goodness. A good creator, a good all-powerful spiritual being wouldn't create an evil realm like this. And free will doesn't explain evil away. This place has always been ruled by evil as far as we can tell. If it was free will, you'd think it at least flip-flop. Sometimes ruled by evil, sometimes ruled by good. That it would shift and sway even in one lifetime. But it doesn't. It doesn't. And the suffering gets worse. The deceptions get worse. The control gets worse. The technology makes things worse. Everything is degrading. And then things that are not degrading, things that are becoming more powerful, are used against us so that we have less freedom. And we're more controlled here. And we're more tired and more ill. And more children suffering. And your kind turns a blind eye to all of that, pretends it doesn't exist, and worships some, quote, creative spirit, as you call it, because you're weak. You believe yourself to be strong and special, like you see something, but you're ignoring 99% of where you are. That reveals what this place is. And that's what weak people do. They don't look at the evidence. The suffering is the evidence. The disease is the evidence. The design is the evidence. Earthquakes, tornadoes, hurricanes, 10,000 diseases, child abuse, pain in the body, the central nervous system design. The way these bodies are designed to be torture suits, to age, to decay, to get worse and worse as people get old. They get all fucked up and crippled. That's the design. That's not free will. That's the way these bodies are designed. You don't choose that. I can go on. I could go on. You have no arguments. Now, if he popped up, if somebody said, would you have him on your show live? If I recognized, I would screen him to see if it was the same voice. But yes, I would. I would. And he'd be demolished. Because he doesn't have any arguments that stand up. Neither do Christians. Neither do Jews, Muslims, Buddhists, Hindus, Jehovah's Witnesses.
Is you, scalar reality. You maintain your whole body. What makes you think it doesn't go up higher than yourself? It's your beliefs that have limited you from noticing that. Psychology, media, school, the whole thing played a huge role in robbing you from your natural language. It's not a language of words, although it can utilize them. It's many anchors to your thinking, reinforcers that actually have been guiding you anyway. It has. It's been guiding you anyway. That type of stuff has been guiding you from your subconscious mind and kind of guiding your conscious thinking. But you've had so many other things. Mind control implants. And let me save you the suspense. I know you think the microchip is coming. From what I understand, people have been implanted since the late 70s. But no need to worry about that. Love can overcome that as well. Understand, life is always speaking to you.
Oh, love overcomes anything, including microchip implants in the brain. Love can overcome everything. This guy's message is similar to Chiron the Lost. And others. Even Jack Talcott. It's similar to this. People love delusions. They love it. They're very attached to delusions. And few in this realm care for the truth or have any attachment to truth. They prefer anything other than the truth. And that's observable in this reality if you start observing what people do.
And life is always speaking to you since the late 70s. But no need to worry about that. Love can overcome that as well. But no need to worry about that. Love can overcome that as well. Understand, life is always speaking to you. And you haven't known about it because it's been too difficult to explain to the average person throughout the years. They just couldn't quite get it. Because there are a lot of people that are functioning like robots. They have a mind just like you, but maybe their spirit isn't quite active like you, so they lack the intuition and the awareness. But you both, if you have a strong spirit, and somebody else who does not, you both have a mind, and your minds will interact with each other. Remember, your mind's like this piece of clay on a potter's wheel. The train whistle is like something that comes by and just a little streak on the clay as it's spinning. Sorcery does the same thing. Why do you think they call Harry Potter Potter? That would be their little cryptic metaphor for a sorcerer, placing his hands upon the clay on the potter's wheel, molding the mind. But nothing molds that piece of clay better than love. And nothing has more power over the mind than love. Nothing. So, how does it work then when I say go in the...
I'm not against love, but I want to help you think about something, if I may. Love is so powerful that this realm is ruled by evil and dominated by evil and by sadistic evil monsters that abuse children. Now, if love were just so overwhelmingly powerful over everything, would this realm look the way it does? I'm not hyping up evil. I'm not praising evil. I'm just saying you're in an evil, demonic fucking realm. And the evidence is all around you, but people don't like to look at the evidence. They prefer illusions and comfort and ignorance and lies and storybooks, stories, soap operas, fictions. They prefer to avoid facing the truth, to escape from it, to run away from it, and hide under their beds and not look.
Nature. It's so simple that people have more power over the mind than love. Nothing. So, how does it work then when I say go into nature? It's so simple that people make it complex. It's true. Life speaks to you. Stop trying to project and receive from moment to moment. And what you're going to find is that it all happens way too quickly and it's way too coordinated to, say, communicate to a friend with conscious verbal language from moment to moment.
I'm not surprised at all that he says it's so simple, because people crave what's simple. They crave simplicity. That's what's very appealing to people, because they don't have to think very much and expend much energy with thought. People want to avoid thinking. They want what's simple. They want simple answers, simple explanations, simple solutions. That's what the average being and the majority in this realm want, what is simple. And they are simple themselves. They're simple. They're simpletons.
That it all happens way too quickly and it's way too cool. What you're going to find is that it all happens way from moment to moment. And what you're life speaks to you. It's so simple that people make it complex. It's so simple that people make it complex. It's so simple that people make it complex. It's true. Life speaks to you. Stop trying to project and receive from moment to moment. And what you're going to find is that it all happens way too quickly and it's way too coordinated to, say, communicate to a friend with conscious verbal language from moment to moment about it happening in that moment. But I've come into contact with plenty of people that were kind of psychic, and when that happens, because I've expanded now and I've kind of awakened in this process, a lot of our communication is just yeah, nodding, yeah, because it's instantaneous understanding. You're just psychic with one another. I've had a lot of psychic interactions. And then I ask them, are you getting it? They're like, yep, you can't really put words on it, can you? I'm like, nope. Believe me, people, this is real. But it's not like some new upgrade. This is how you used to be. This is just normal. This is how every animal is. That's why I get a kick out of humans thinking they're the superior being. They're the only ones that don't know this, that can't take advantage of it because they've been disconnected. So you rely upon the mind's calculation and perception. And because you're not consciously aware of the communication from the larger scale of reality, you're not aware of the corruption.
So there you go. He's talking about superior beings. He has that view. We are different from animals in many ways, that it's observably true. But he goes to that, and a lot of people do that. It's very common. Everything he said in this is very common.
Or the neuro-linguistic programming. People may try to teach that. You can have somebody use that in practice, aware of the corruption, or the neuro-linguistic programming. People may try to teach that. You can have somebody use that in practice, but they'll do it differently. Maybe they'll work with belief systems. So they'll say a few things in sequence to give rise or potentially give rise to a certain type of thought bubble, and then predict that and then anchor it, trying to mimic what normally occurs. Now, when a demon's doing it through a person, they're psychic, so they're not so much predicting as they are reading your mind and anchoring it that way. That's how they work, man. You've got to understand, if you sit there and focus on demons, then you're going to bring that to you. Some of us that are a part of this wake up, we got to deal with it. Okay? I've got one connected to me that's constantly communicating with me, infusing into my perception psychically. It's not as hard as you think. You see, what is psychic communication like if other entities want to put something into my head? Well, right now, for example, you have an auditory field around you, right? Maybe you have various sounds occurring in your room. Maybe you have a fan on, there's a TV in the different room on, which I would turn off, but, just different sounds going on. And you also have my voice, right? So I'm injecting my voice into your auditory perception. I'm adding to it. And you're decoding it and interpreting it with meaning. All right, well, psychic communication is the same thing. It's the same thing, except it's not utilizing your sensory apparatus of the eyes or ears. It's just injecting it directly into your brain's perception. But it's the same thing. It's the same communication. So I can look at something, right? They started using written words, like looking for subliminal messages one night, and it was really getting late. It was like 3 a.m., and I'm like, my eyes were getting blurry. And then it just manifested right on the picture. 3 a.m. eyes, go to bed. Objective reality, it's stuck. It stayed there on the picture. People say, well, show me that picture. Why? For you will say, oh, you just did that yourself. There's no point in that. See, this is what you need to know, and why I wanted to introduce you to the concept of subliminal messages first. But it's not just Photoshop, people. It's etheric. They can psychically put words on things. It does it all of the time in front of me. Literally, man. That's why people be like, this is a matrix. It's well, no, it is illusory, yes. But you manifest as much as they do. It's just your beliefs that you can't that keep you from being able to do.
So Jonathan said that you manifest as much as they do. It's just your beliefs that you can't that stops you. And then it cut off. The person that recorded that video cut it off abruptly there. It's interesting, isn't it? He makes all these big claims with what is backing up all of his claims. And I think that's part of the appeal for people. They love to listen or watch someone that makes all sorts of extraordinary claims. The bigger the lie, the easier it is to sell it. He dismisses that this is a matrix and that you manifest just as much as evil does. It's just that you don't believe it. You don't believe you can do it. It's your fault again. It's not that you're in an evil realm. It's your fault. It's always that carrot on a stick saying, you could fix this place. Just believe harder. Believe harder. You're not believing hard enough. Believe harder and you can fix this place into a good realm, is his part of his message. It's your fault. You didn't design this place, but you got to manifest better. You've got to believe and you've got to manifest better. All right. I hope that you enjoyed watching this video. I hope that you got something out of the comparing and contrasting of my model and my message versus his. Not in its entirety, of course, his or mine, but we're extremely different. Differences matter. The truth matters. Critical thinking matters. All of these things matter in a realm where they're rarely practiced whatsoever. In this place, most people just blindly, lazily follow along. And they listen to someone that can speak fairly well on YouTube and they think, well, I found the truth. And they get deceived again and again and again and again. I hope this helps you. Help yourself. Empower yourself.